this train with us.
Hello, hello, family. How are you doing this evening? Welcome to Prayer, Marriage, and Family. I'm your girl, Rhonda, and this is your boy, CJ Jones. And we are glad to be back. As you can see, we are streaming on all platforms now. And we have a production crew in the back, one woman show that's getting us together, has gotten us together. So we want to give a big shout out to Trina G. She is all around girl, woman, and mother and all this, but she handles a lot of things for us. So welcome to the show. Tonight we have an exciting show. Normally we have conversations and topics, but before I got, before we got married and everything like that. Because, we are the lovebirds. We love over 60, Rhonda and CJ. And so he talked about his career. And, some things are hard to imagine or to believe. And so he told me about his career and how things were for him as a quarterback in college and headed to the NFL in the 70s. And when he told me that, I think about 2 months later, I was looking at TV and this documentary came on called Evolution of the Black Quarterback. And I was like, wow. So as I listened to it, I called him in and I was like, they are talking about what you was telling me. And so I wanted him to tell his story from his perspective. I think it's a story that needs to be shared. So I am going to be interviewing my husband today, CJ Jones, and we're going to talk about racism. Racism in the college and the NFL. So I want to give a big hand of applause, yay, to this man that I'm interviewing. And this is an honor for me to interview him because normally we interacted together, but he's being interviewed. And I hope this story encourages other young female Black males who headed to any type of sports. Now, we're going to be coming from the perspective of the 70s to the 80s and the things that was going on there. So welcome, CJ. It's good to have you as my first guest as a participant to talk about this issue, which I now know that it was a big issue in the 70s, 60s, and the 80s as we was growing up. So first thing I want to say is what made you pursue the position as quarterback? Well, let me start here. What got you into football?
That's a good question. I was no different than any other kid growing up. God gifted me to be athletic. I have a bunch of cousins, and we had our own football teams and baseball teams. And my older cousins got me started playing sports and ball. And football was always my favorite, even though I played baseball too. But football was always my favorite. So ask me what got me started into football. It was the love of the game. My older cousins, guys in the neighborhood, got together playing, and the more I played, I found myself excelling in it, and the joy came from it.
And I know that you grew up in what we knew as Crenshaw District, the west side of Los Angeles. What high school did you attend? And I know that you was the All-American football star player at Crenshaw High, wearing your number
16.
Number 16 at Crenshaw High from 1973 to 75.
Yeah, 72 to 75.
72 to 75. So as you evolved from the playground and the yard and street ball, what made you then decide this is the route you want to go with your sports? And what was your first sports?
Okay, I'll start off with the first question you asked me. What made me decide to want to go football and play quarterback? To tell you two, babe. First of all, I know I'm doing a little bias here because you think I'm All-American anyway, but I always tell her that I was fortunate to be on a good team. Yeah, I really was, and she knows that. What motivated me to play quarterback, I don't know if I was motivated or not because I wanted to play receiver. That's what I wanted to play. But messing around, throwing the ball around during practice, we had this coach that was very stern, and he saw this talent in me to play quarterback. So that's how I started playing quarterback. I wasn't say forcing to play it, but he told me basically in so many terms I was going to play quarterback. So that's what I did, and it became fun. It was a learning. It was a journey. I wasn't that gifted in that position because I never played it before. So as I grew to learn to play the position, it became fun to me. It became a challenge. It became like a chess game because the whole time you're playing quarterback, you're looking at the other team's defense, trying to figure out what their next move is going to be, and you counteract with a play that you know is called. So yes, I started off at Crenshaw High, my favorite school of all times. Well versed and just not to get off the topic, but Crenshaw High, for those of you who don't know, is very well known for its athletics. Along with we have prominent people that came out there, but we're known for our athletics. So I felt honored to even be an athlete coming out of Crenshaw. So I started at Crenshaw High, was blessed to earn a scholarship to go to the University of New Mexico.
Okay, so while you was in high school, what experiences did you have, if any, of racism or any, having a tough skin to deal with different cultures and things like that?
To be honest about it, being raised in Los Angeles, California, where I was raised, racism, I'm sure, was always there, but it wasn't so much in your face. You knew there was a lot going on. We played a lot of schools, and a lot of them were white. And that was our first little taste of racism because, we always heard the stories about, okay, we're going to the valley, we're going to the school, blah, blah, blah. We're going to have to really be careful because of stuff such as racism was going on there. I'm not going to say no particular schools, but yes, in high school, we touched on it a little bit, but it wasn't so much in our face because we stayed mostly local.
Oh.
We didn't do a lot of, traveling, so we stayed mostly local.
Now, I do know there are several football players that came out of Crenshaw High School and out of the city. Do you know some of the players that you played with that went on to join the NFL as you did? Do you know some of those players in high school that went on to play?
Absolutely. I guess I would start first, with my home athletes. Willow Tyler, as far as football, was the biggest name coming out of there, who went on to UCLA and had a really good career with the Rams and the 49ers. Great running back. Also out of Crenshaw High, Michael Coulter, who also went to UCLA. But the first one to leave out there was Reggie Lewis, and he was there when I went to Crenshaw in the ninth grade. He was a senior who went to Oregon State and later played with the Chargers. We have quite a few players that, it seemed like every year we had players that got a tryout, or something like that. I was really blessed because I'll get to that story later. But yeah, Warren Moon, I played against him in high school. He and I became, pretty good friends. Real neat guy. I would see him from time to time, not that often, but he has his own story. So yeah, those are some, just to name a few that came out of Crenshaw out the inner city where I was at, that played went on and have a career in college and the pros.
Now, what motivated you to want to go and play in the NFL? Because I know it just didn't start when you got to high school. One, what was your favorite team? And then what was the motivation and who was the person that motivated you?
Okay, what motivated me to want to play and possibly play in the NFL, I guess I was no different than most little boys. It was a dream. It was a dream. And the dream was to have a shot to play the NFL. When you're growing up and you're watching all these people making it big, that's what I wanted to do. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And what motivated me to do so, and what I guess my favorite team, to start with that, anybody who's been around me for 3 minutes knows it's all about them boys. I was a big Dallas Cowboy fan. And the number one question I get asked is, you've been born and raised in Los Angeles, why the Cowboys? Well, it's simple. When I was little, my dad took me and my brother to the Coliseum, which we was living right down the street from. The first game I ever saw was the Cowboys and the Rams. And on that particular day, The Cowboys just shellacked the Rams. And I said, that's going to be my team, the team with the star on the helmet. And I was sold.
So, who was the person that kind of motivated you and pushed you to further your career in football after high school? I do know that you became, I think, the city. What's the award that you had for the city?
Well, I was all Western League first team and all city, and stuff like that. But
As a quarterback.
As a quarterback, yes. What motivated me or who motivated me? I give all the credit to that to my older cousins.
To play the quarterback.
Not so much to play quarterback, but they're the one who got me started playing sports.
Mm-hmm.
The one that motivated me to play quarterback was also some of my teammates in high school, because I was a junior in high school before I decided to play football. But when you're high school, you're playing in PE. We're messing around playing flag football and stuff. Everybody started saying, you need to go out and play. You need to go out and play. I said, no, I'm gonna play baseball. But to answer your question, some of my teammates encouraged me to come out there and play, and I did.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now you did well in high school, and you received a scholarship. And tell us a little bit about that journey. The recruitment journey from high school, how your recruitment went, and the school you chose.
I remember that well. The recruitment process, geez, it's a journey. It's busy and it's a journey. I would say.
Look up.
Oh, I would say I thought I was reading the thing. I would say that was the journey because I was 17 years old when I was being recruited. I was one confused person because I wasn't used to the attention. I wasn't used to traveling because when you get recruited, you're traveling from school to school. I really was naive. I really was naive about the recruitment process. But you have all these coaches coming to you, take you out at lunch at school. You miss a class. I never missed school like I did during the recruitment season because you have coaches coming to take you out, coming by your house. You didn't have no me time no more. So, they come into your house and their job is to sell your parents on taking care of their son. And that's basically what it was. They come to your house making all these promises, making promises that weren't fulfilled or can't be fulfilled. But at 17 years old, I didn't know no better. So by the time my recruitment process is over, I'm looking for help. I'm asking my parents, what do you think? And the one thing they told me was, you make your own decision. You visit the schools, you saw what they had to offer, you've been there talking to the alumni, to the players and stuff, you make your decision. Well, I was just being honest, it wasn't a fun time for me because I was confused.
Now you paused and you mentioned the coaches come to your home and they make you promises, and at that moment you said could you talk about that a little bit, because we have young men and young women that maybe going to college and they have to know when you said so let's dive into that a little bit.
Absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, my first love was really baseball. That's why I grew up playing. But my first love was for football because that was my favorite sport. So also at Crenshaw, I have to say I excelled in baseball also. I had workouts for various teams in baseball that would come out, such as the Reds and the Expos and stuff like that. So when they came to recruit me, I would ask them, would it be a possibility that I can play baseball in the springtime, kind of double sport like I did at Crenshaw. Some schools were very honest, saying, no, we want you to come to spring ball and continue, to excel in baseball. The other ones that wanted you a little more said, oh, yeah, you can play baseball, no problem. Well, that's what the part of the selling process I was telling you about. They'll tell you whatever they think you want to hear to get you to come. Well, they got this kid. I'm like, oh, man. And see, in Albuquerque, the Dodgers farm team is there. So I said, wow, I could actually play baseball too. But guess what? That was the part that really sold me to go out there. And I never stepped on a baseball diamond the whole time I was there.
Now, after your high school, you graduated. And what university did you choose to go to on your scholarship?
I chose to go to the University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. And I chose that school simply because, once again, the recruitment process did it. They told me they were going to give me a chance. They were very honest at one point. They said, we're recruiting you and two more freshmen. I'm not going to mention no names, but the quarterback that was there was Steve Meyer. I can say that because he went to the pros, first round quarterback, and he was good. And they told me, you're not going to start because we have a quarterback that's going to go in the first round, but you'll be, in a competition to be the backup quarterback and the future quarterback for the Lobos. So after what was told to me then, I actually, interviewed people there and witnessed that, because all the other schools I went to, we're talking about changing my position. That's another, we'll probably get into that a little later, but changing my position, such and such. But these people at the University of Mexico told me that I was going to get a very good opportunity and chance to play quarterback there and to be the backup as a freshman for the senior who will be leaving that year.
So what was your first experience when you hit the campus of the University of Mexico, Albuquerque, in Albuquerque?
My first experience, and this is going to sound comical, but it was different for me. I stepped off the plane, went through the airport, the coaches picked me up. I drove down the street, went past the university to get to the locker room, got in the locker room, then went to the dorm, and through all that, I'm looking for one black person. It sounds crazy, but I never saw a black person until school started. And the first persons I saw that were black were the athletes. When I was at the University of New Mexico, the student population of the blacks were made up of the athletes there. Football, basketball, track and field. And that was different for me because I wasn't accustomed to that. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. And I'm gonna be totally honest and clear with this.
Transparent.
Very transparent, yes. My elementary school was black. My junior high school was black. My high school was black. The teams that we mostly played were black. So as I traveled, to be honest, it's strange how I wound up there because all the other schools that I visited, you saw black students and people in the city and black population, but I didn't see that too much in Albuquerque at that time.
So with seeing that, how did you feel going to a university and you're there and you're ready to play the position of quarterback? You don't see any, basically a lot of black students. What was your thought? What was your feeling?
That's a good question because your very, very first question was, how did I feel to get prepared to play quarterback there and didn't see no blacks? Well, I knew that was going to be a challenge anywhere because at that time in 1974, 75, 76, there weren't no black quarterbacks. There was two in the NFL, James Harris, Doug Williams. Jefferson Street Joe was for the Steelers, but he was in and out. But to answer my question, I didn't, at that time, at 17 years old as a freshman, I didn't give it too much weight to, man, I'm a black quarterback on this university. I just thought about trying to make the team when I was a freshman. The other half of it didn't come until we started practicing. That's when I found out what the real deal was. And even though I knew that, the racism existed at that time in the NFL, I didn't put too much clarity or too much into it until I got there, we started practicing.
So actually you experienced your first bit of racism there at New Mexico, University of New Mexico in Albuquerque. And how did you feel coming from this Crenshaw district in Los Angeles, never being around really open racism?
No, that's true. Yeah.
What was that feeling like? What did that do? I mean, how did you feel? You had coaches. I don't know. You tell us about, your coaches. How was your coaches? They promised you one thing and something else came about. How was that? How was that going through your mind?
To tell the truth, Rhonda, the two coaches that recruited me to come here, they were the two that kind of halfway stuck behind me while I was there. It was almost like, we recruited him we owe it to him to look out for him and stuff like that. How did I feel? I felt like I was alone because once you hit the college campus, you're basically alone. You don't have no family, no nothing there. And you have to try to work and navigate your own way. Mm-hmm. I did okay with that, but it kind of set me to this is the realization of what the world is about. You know, mm-hmm. You have people of all cultures and stuff. And believe it or not, my experience wasn't with the people of Albuquerque. It wasn't with the students of Albuquerque. It wasn't with the players that I played with. It was that culture of the cultures that were there at the time I was there.
So that culture of cultures came from a culture where you being a young man, mm-hmm. Black, you're a quarterback, and you are recruited as mm-hmm. a Black quarterback.
Right.
And when did you realize that you wasn't going to play quarterback? And with that, did you realize it was because that you were Black?
I realized that, and this is the truth. My first practice at the University of New Mexico, we scrimmaged. And it was me and this other guy backing up Steve Meyer. So, you know, they knew what Steve was going to do. So basically, me and the other guy taking all the snaps, doing practice and scrimmage. Well, I had a pretty good scrimmage. I was proud of myself, felt good. Freshman, you know, trying to make the varsity team. But guess what? The next time we practiced, I went out there and this coach had a ball. I'm jogging over to where the quarterbacks were. And here goes CJ. I caught the ball and said, "You got good hands. Go there where the wide receivers are." So I know this sounds like something crazy. That's when I realized I'm not going to play quarterback. And as I jogged over there to the wide receivers area, they all looked at me like, "What you doing over here?" And guess who was the coach of the wide receivers? One of the coaches that recruited me. Mm-hmm. And he looked at me. I said, "Well, Coach so-and-so told me to come over here. I'm going to be playing receiver." That coach went over there. I'm pretty sure some words were exchanged. The players were looking at me, and they was like, "Wow, white, Black players both." And for my freshman year, that's where I was. And see, this is one of the promises that I was talking about earlier. They made me a promise. We're going to give you every opportunity to play quarterback here. But 2 practices there, I was playing wide receiver.
So how many times did you play in the position of quarterback during the games while you was in New Mexico?
Freshman year, none. My sophomore year, a few. And then my sophomore year, them few because the quarterback well, let me back up a little bit. My sophomore year, I had a chance to compete. Of course, at that time, Steve was gone, so the 3 quarterbacks they recruited as freshmen. So we competed. I wound up being the second string quarterback. Okay, that was no big deal because I'm feeling myself, you know, moving on up.
Yeah.
I'm 17 at that time. So my birthday came late, so I was 17, not going to be 18 till the end of September. And I thought, okay, I made the team. That was my number 1 goal, was to make the varsity team. So I did that. And me and the other quarterback, we were good. You know, we didn't have no issues or nothing. But when he would get hurt, that's when I got a chance to throw some passes my sophomore year. Now, my junior year became more competitive. Things happened in the football culture where I got to start some games. That was a different story, but all of a sudden I was needed. Maybe we'll get into that.
No, because we're talking about the racism of the quarterback.
Okay.
So it just didn't start when you get to the NFL. There's some racism before you get to that NFL. Yeah. So now you at New Mexico. You supposed to be in the quarterback position, and now you playing receiver. So when did you feel the racism, and where did you, in your mind, in your young Black mind, when did you feel the racism towards you because of the position that you wanted to play that you couldn't play because you was Black?
My sophomore year.
Okay.
My second year there. And the amazing thing about it was I would go to the ball to a fast food place. Because let me say this. In Albuquerque, there's no Lakers, Dodgers, Rams. They don't have no professional sports teams out there. So the college athletes are the stars.
Well, the
We were the
stars.
stars. So because of that, you're known. I'm a quarterback, the black quarterback. So everywhere I went, C.J. Jones, can I have your autograph? C.J. And this is the killing part. These were white people. The people of Albuquerque were behind me 100%. The student body was behind me 100%. It was some things that took place where they would always ask me, when are you going to get to play? When are you going to start? Why they won't play you? And my number one answer is, I don't know. Because truth be told, I didn't know. They said, well, why do I had a hunch why I wasn't, but I wasn't going to put it out there. I just said, well, I don't know. That was my number one answer. So as time went on, my sophomore year, I got to play a little more because, like I said, the other quarterback would get hurt and stuff. And the amazing thing about it was an ongoing joke with my parents and some of the other parents of players who were out there with me because they would come and see us play. And one time, and my brother would sit in the car and listen to the game because you could catch it on the radio station out here. And he would run in the house and say, guess what, Dad, Mom? He just threw a touchdown pass. And the first thing they would say, did they take him out?
Why would they say, did they take him out?
Because it's simple. And my dad, man, he rest in peace, bless his heart. He was my biggest fan. I would be in the game. We will be moving. I'll be throwing the ball, completing it. If I threw too many completed passes, I was coming out. If I threw a touchdown, I was done for the game.
And that doesn't make sense to me because it seems like you're moving the team along, you're winning, gaining your yardage and doing all the things that a quarterback's supposed to do, leading the team, and they would actually take you out. So did you feel the racism was coming because of that, because you were Black and they didn't feel that Black players at that time could be a leader of a team that had other cultures and races?
This piggybacks off the question you asked me, and I don't think I completed it, but now I can get it to when you said, when did I feel my first little bit of racism? I would say it was around that time. Around that, I could recall times. Wow. I can recall times when I would come out, or they would take me out, the team would be happy, rah, rah, rah. Coaches wouldn't say nothing to me. Wouldn't say nothing to me. I just sat on the sideline because you know what, my skin was thicker than that. I was born in Los Angeles, and the stuff we faced at that time, that was mild to me. So I was playing the good guy. Never said nothing.
Thick skin, tough skin.
I never said nothing. But like we would play on Saturday afternoon, Saturday nights. Sunday morning, people was asking me, why did they take you out? Why won't they? I don't know. So now it's started to cause a rift. Not with the players, because we were good with our teammates. We were good with some of them guys. I'm talking about the whites and blacks alike. They were good guys. They were supportive, but them coaches weren't budging. And I would come out there, and we would start practice. They never said nothing to me. Nothing. So I know about the meetings at the coach's home. That I didn't know nothing about.
So you saying that they had meetings with other players of other races?
Yes.
But you, as a Black young man at the university, didn't go to those meetings?
No, I never knew nothing about them.
What about some of the other Black players on the team? Were they invited to those house meetings?
Well, the meetings, let me be clear, they were position meetings.
Okay.
Okay?
So if it was a quarterback position,
the quarterbacks would go to
the quarterback would go. I got you. Okay, okay.
So it got to the point so bad that some of the white players, when the season was over, and this is God's truth, some of the white players even, CJ, you gonna come back next year? You need to transfer, man, because you ain't gonna have no chance to play here. I wouldn't dare put their names out there, but I've had guys that had my back that would tell me that. Tell me that. I had I guess as long as I don't say no name, we played against two schools, high prominent schools, Arizona State, San Jose State. Both of those schools recruited me heavily, heavily my senior year in high school. Each time, especially San Jose, that's another story. But each time, not some of the assistant coaches, but the head coach would come on and say, "Hey, we see what's going on here." And I'm looking at them. One time, water in my eyes. They said, "If you get ready," because it was illegal for them to kind of recruit me off the field. He said, "All I'm gonna say is, if you're deciding on making a move, come home. We'll put you in a JC and we'll come get you after one semester." I had that offered to me 3 different occasions. 3 different occasions. And now my mind is going like I'm kind of understanding what they're saying. I didn't feel like I was gonna play there. I really didn't. So now I'm working out, my summers was long because it was a decision like, God, why am I doing this? And people, this is the God truth, Rhonda. When people came back off a summer break, so my stuff was already in the dorms and stuff. They would come before they unpacked to knock on my door to see if I was there. Because they said, like, man, we didn't know you was coming back. Because of the stuff that went on.
Now, there was a story about one game where I think you guys lost and almost a riot. I only heard bits and pieces of the story. I want to hear about that story because the story was supposed to be you was doing well in the game and you was.
Okay, let me clear. I'm gonna make it clear.
Okay, please.
People who was there with me, it was in 1977, I think. So it was a good side. We were doing pretty good, but I was playing second string quarterback once again. Our first string quarterback got hurt. Ankle big as a softball. He got hurt. Couldn't hardly walk. He got hurt at the very end of that game. We won it, but he couldn't play the next game. So they say. So the trainer said, his ankle, they almost thought it was broke. So right away, guess what? I moved up to the first team. I'm taking all the first team reps, all in the paper. C.J. Jones gonna start against San Jose State. Stadium sold out. Banners everywhere. So I'm hyped. No nerves at all. I'm ready. I'm just ready, best practice. I wish I could find someone that could verify this. The ball never hit the ground during that week. Everything was being completed. People were hyped. Defense running all over the place, hyped. Offense looking good. We was ready. Got in. Listen to this. Went to pregame meal. I'm running. We used to run like dummy offenses in the.
So you're saying that you did the practices?
I took all the reps.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I was running first team. He was standing on top. He really couldn't walk hard.
Okay.
So now I'm taking all the reps. We get on the bus, go to the hotel room. I'm sleeping good. I got in bed. I think I was in bed like 8 or 9 o'clock, right? We had a midnight snack. I couldn't wait. Got up the next morning. Paper was saying C.J. Jones first start against his hometown of California, San Jose State Spartans. And San Jose State was a good team that year. Now, we get out on the field, start warming up. I'm still starting quarterback. The guy who used to start still standing over there. Tape, ankle heavily taped. So, we go run into the locker room. The players, they hyped. They ready. Let's do this. They were hyped for a lot of reasons because San Jose State, like I said, was a good team. We had a chance to knock them off. Second of all, we were right in the thick of the WAC conference lead. So, it would have been a good win. Plus, everybody, was pulling for me. It was no secret. They were pulling for me. We go out we come out, national anthem, we stand on the sideline. We're going to get the ball first. What I always tell you, I can't make this up. I can't make this up. So we get the ball. They kick off us. We get the ball. The team is standing in the huddle, waiting on the play to be called because, coaches, on the sideline, gives the quarterback to take in the run. I'm standing ready to go in and take the play in. He then tells me, you know what? We're gonna let Noel try to see if he can run on his ankle. That's all he said to me. And Noel looked at me, like, what? And the coach said, get out there and run this play. When he got out there to the huddle, everybody looked, and 11 people stood up and turned and looked at the sideline. The defense was on the sideline, turned and looked over at us as if to say, what the bleepity bleep are you doing? And remind you, he was hobbling out there. Hobbling. So, now remember, I told you the game was sold out. People, when that happened, people started booing, started yelling. They were going, the coaches were scared, the players were looking. All of a sudden, you saw cans and bottles coming up. It was like a miniature riot about to happen. And it was like, wow. Wow.
So what was the outcome of that game?
We won the game. Thank God we won. Because if we had lost that game, I would have hated to have been a witness to what would have happened. Because for 4 quarters, people were yelling and screaming and hollering.
So did you play the rest of that game at quarterback, or did you play it off?
I didn't play it all.
Oh, you didn't play it all?
I didn't play it down.
After practicing, oh, okay. So now we really know that it's about.
It was simply about the way I felt. Now, I'm going to be honest.
The way you felt,
the way I felt about it. Because you used to always hear this about the black quarterback. Not being able to lead the team, not being able to think, not being able to make a good decision. That's when racism really started setting into my mind, because it was like, to me, they didn't want this black kid from Los Angeles running that team. To me. Because I'd never been insubordinate. I'd done everything they asked me to do, never talked back. And you can ask them to this day. I wish I could, because they're so old, I doubt if any of them are around still. Why didn't I play that game? Let alone start. Why didn't I play? Because it was really unfair to the other quarterback, because he could hardly move.
So how do you feel now, looking back at that experience? How you feel now, and what would you tell young players coming from high school to college? We're still at college. Young players coming from high school to college. Compared to what you went through, I don't know if a lot of this stuff is going on and on the football field. You know, we know racism is there, but how did you feel when that happened? And then what would you tell somebody else? What would you tell that young teenage self back then? What would you say to yourself if you know you could go back, that young player? That's
a good question, because I've never felt the locker room like it was when we got in the locker room. You would have thought that rah, 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 we beat San Jose State. It was all like more. People came in, some like, hey, good game, so-and-so, good. They were happy, but I know they felt for me. And I sat at the locker, and people walked by me like they were scared to say anything. It was eerie. It really was. So to answer your question, what I would say is, knowing me back then, I would say, you know what, just hang your head in there. There's a reason for everything. I kind of felt what the reason was, but I never was a person that looked for any headlines, any nothing. I know how I felt. I was hurt. It put me into a position of, look, fool, this is the reality you live in. And from that point on, I never trusted them. I have trust issues today behind taking in what people tell you, and when you get messed over, and that's how I felt. I didn't think I don't know, superstar, but I thought it was better than what they were putting me out to be.
Now, how did that prepare you? Because you graduated, you got your BA degree, you graduated. How did that experience prepare you for the NFL? Now you're going into a whole different,
Mhm.
you know, the young people don't know the commitment, the dedication it takes just to sometimes get to college. Now you're talking NFL, and I know that was a big dream of yours to play for your favorite team, Dallas. I know that was big dream, but how did that incident and the racism that you felt prepare you for the NFL, knowing that you was a quarterback? Did you believe possibly you get to play quarterback in the NFL? So how did that prepare you for the NFL?
Excellent question. I'm gonna tell you something else I experienced. My junior year, I redshirted because I got hurt. I had a cracked sternum, so I got hurt. Redshirting, for those that don't know, it gives you an extra year to play. You know, they'll hold your scholarship and let you, especially if you get hurt early in the year, they'll give you an extra year to play. So I redshirted. I built my body up, you know, lifting weights, getting ready for my senior year. By my senior year, you know, the pros start coming around, clocking you and all that kind of stuff. I had a scout. Not many people know about this. There was a scout from the Detroit Lions. He said, "You know what? We're still looking at you because I don't know if anybody told you, but we looked at you heavy last year. We're gonna take you, but you decided to come back." I didn't know anything about that. Oh, that gentleman looked at me, a white man, looked at me and said, "Your head coach and other coaches told you that?" I said, "This is the first time I'm hearing this." Wow. He said they already had me on the board to go in the 5th or 6th round. I said, "Wow." I said, "Okay." And he told me, he said, "Keep doing what you're doing because we haven't heard anything negative about your character or nothing. So just come back strong your senior year." So now that motivated me, but it also like soured me. Once again, trust issues. So listen to how God works. So my senior year, I didn't even work out with the quarterbacks. I went down there on the defensive side of the ball, and I ran the other team offense for the defense to get ready for the game. I couldn't believe it. And by this time, it got ugly. People were rumbling. People was rumbling on the field like, "What the hell is this? Why are they doing CJ like this?" And 2 of the quarterbacks got hurt. And what they did was pulled off 2 other guys off of other positions to go run out there and run for the quarterback. I was still down there another day. So you asked me earlier about racism. Right there, I knew I was in the slut of it. They did not want this black kid from Los Angeles, California, running that team.
Well, how did that prepare you
Okay.
for the NFL?
Okay, so now
because eventually you kind of landed there.
I did. What happened was I just kept, you know what? I just became introverted. I didn't talk much. I said, you know what? I'm gonna finish school. Let me just get my degree. But what happened was my senior year, I started working. I started getting calls to come out there and work out. So now I'm working out with guys who were going to be projected to go in the first, second, third round in the NFL. I'm like, okay, let me go out there and show them what I can do. I did that. During draft time, I had an agent. He said he wanted to represent me. Now I'm kind of getting a little hope. I said, my agent want to represent me? I didn't even play the last year and a half. You know, why would he want?
He passed not too long ago.
Right, yeah, Daniels, yeah. So I said,
your agent was who?
Daniels.
Daniels, okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, you want to represent me? He said, yeah. I'd like to represent you. So when you sign, I'll make sure all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. I said, sign? He said, yeah, you got feelers out there. I couldn't believe it. Bob said, apparently with God's insight and my athletic ability, somebody was willing to give me a chance. He said, at this time, he goes, I'm gonna be honest with you. They probably gonna recruit you more as an athlete because your athletic ability, you might not get a chance to play quarterback. But hell, by that time, I was like, I just want to make the NFL. That's all I want to do, play in the NFL. So with him saying that, I already knew where do most of the black players go that don't play quarterback. They either go to defensive back, wide receiver, or running back, one of the three. So I said, okay. So my mindset was not on any particular position, but I knew I was going to play quarterback. So I went into camp. No, so I'm sitting in the room on draft day, and you know they start making free agent calls. My agent gets a call, so yes sir, he's right here, and I'm looking like, you know, I'm still just like, yeah, you know, who is this? I get on the phone. As Gil Brandt, who's the executive personnel, and Tom Landry. I'm saying, you know what? I don't feel like sitting here, you know, with somebody playing games. That's the other guy too. I said, you know, I ain't got time for this.
You thought they playing games?
I got on the phone, heard that little country slur and stuff. He said, "This is Tom Landry." I said, "Tom Landry who?" Just like that. He kind of laughed. He said, "I'm the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys." And I was just like, "You've got to be kidding me." Now my little boy dream is coming true. I'm getting to go with a chance to play for the team that I grew up idolizing. And it was like, I just couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. And you know what? Going to Dallas, black quarterback, I knew it was going to happen. So anyway, I wound up with a chance with the Dallas Cowboys. And I know our topic is the plight of the black quarterback. I have a story there. They gave me a chance.
Yeah.
And we laugh about it to the day. As a matter of fact, my proudest moment, real quick, was when I got to camp. I had two other guys that were teammates of mine at Crenshaw, and the Dallas Cowboys had 3 Crenshaw Cougars in camp together.
That's right. That's right.
And that was believe it or not, my proudest moment. I said, look at us. We made it. So,
but not to cut you off, but you made it through the determination, through the racism, your commitment to your crowd,
right,
and dedication. And that's what the young men and women need to know about, even though the trials that you went through.
Absolutely.
You made it to that point and you kept your head.
Yeah.
You could have went off on some of the coaches because you didn't play quarterback or whatever, the the racism thing, but you kept your head.
That's true. I was to sit here and look at you out there and say, I didn't get discouraged. That'd be a lie, because I was really discouraged, you know. But the thing about it was, I had to place. I don't mean to all of a sudden sound like a holy roller, but I placed all my faith and belief in God, because I said, if it was meant to be, He would see me through it. So I kept working out, and when I would go, and the reason I got spotted, a lot of times scouts would want to come out there and run times for the wide receivers and catch ball. Guess who got to throw to them? Me. So they saw me throwing the ball. They saw me catching the ball and stuff and what I could do. That's how I got my chance through God. And then, you know, that's what gave me an opportunity to go out there. So I was out there with the Cowboys. I was out there with my idols and stuff, you know. So I told you I had a story. So they knew I was a college quarterback. So I was out there starting off with the quarterbacks. I'm like, dang. They really gonna be out here in Dallas, Texas with the Cowboys. I'm gonna get a shot at quarterback. I was there the year Roger Staubach retired. Danny White took over the team. And his backup was Gary Hogan Boom. You guys, I know you remember that name, you know, because it was our name. So I'm standing back there. It was really about 8 of us back there, you know, they bring in a lot of people. But every time I saw one of them throw, my ego rose a little more. I said, none of these guys can outthrow me. None of these guys can outthrow me. And Gary Hogan Boom was the first round draft choice of the Cowboys that year. And I'm looking,
He's feeling himself right about now.
Oh, man.
He done made the Cowboys. Oh, yeah.
I'm looking at him. I'm looking at them other guys. I was only black back there. I'm looking at these guys. I'm like, and these are guys I was watching on Saturdays. You know, I've heard the names. You know, they come from Biscuit. I'm like, you kidding me? Are you kidding me right now? So Danny White was throwing a few of them. So Gary Hogaboom, you know, being a first round job choice, he came right behind him and said, we laugh about this to this day. One of the guys I went to high school with, I went in there, and the first pass I threw, was a touchdown to Drew Pearson. I want to play DB after that. And my classmates, he cracked about that to this day. He said, man, you should have incompleted the pass. You were standing out there long. But you know, I have to laugh and stuff. And I know you asked me, you know, how to prepare me for different stuff. I wouldn't trade my experience at Albuquerque and Dallas for nothing. Why? Because it helped me grow. I matured in a certain way that I probably wouldn't have any other kind of way. It put me in the realization of you're not at Crenshaw, you're not in LA. This is how the world is. This is how the world views stuff. And
how they view you.
How they view me
as a black man, a black child, a black
you hear stories about, you know, the black plight and the things that black men have to do. Well, I live that. So after I came back from Dallas, I said, the heck with all this, because then after I came back, teams wanted me to come to camp unsigned. We want to try you out. My agent said, you're not doing that because you get hurt. What you got? You ain't got no money or nothing. We're not going to do that. Then Canada wanted to sign me. Then the NFL went on strike. It was a mess. So I said, you know what? What I'm going to do, I'm going to take my butt back to Albuquerque, finish school, get my degree, and go home. And that's what I did.
So your time how did it feel being with Dallas? I mean, he knows Dallas is not my favorite team. I give him grace because he did sit on the bench with them. He did play for Dallas, so I give him a little bit of grace. So I don't know if you all can see we have on the Dallas shirt, but you didn't experience. He got his hat. You did. Oh, I don't want to do that.
No,
but you didn't experience the. Do you feel you experienced racism in not being able to play quarterback due to, you know, your talent, and you might have been better than some of the white quarterbacks?
Are we talking about
Dallas, when you got to Dallas?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you the truth. I always thought I knew I was athletic. I knew I could compete with anybody. But by the time I got to Dallas, my mindset was, I'm gonna make this team. I didn't care if it was on special teams. I didn't care what I had to do, because, like I said, I grew up in nobody could put for Cowboys more than me. I'm in the locker room with doors set, you know, with people that's in the Hall of Fame, and it's like, I'm in here, I'm just running around and bumping shoulders. And
what did that feel like? What did that feel like? I mean,
you know what? I'm gonna tell you something. I can't
make this up.
I can't make this up. I was like a kid in a candy store. It's just all about which candy I just wanted to pick. My locker, I'm looking at Preston Pearson, Drew Pearson, Tony Hill, Butch Johnson, all these guys, Ed Too Tall Jones, Harvey Martin, Randy White. Who could be that strong? And you know, I'm looking at some of them boys, I'm like, what in the heck am I doing out here? Because they would kill me if they hit me.
They were big. So it's different from high school. You go to college,
oh, man.
They're big, but when you get to the NFL, they're big.
They're big and they're agile and they can run. They can run. So, but to answer your question, I was in La La Land, and at that time, even though they did me, you know, about through the quarterback, I went to another position. At that time, the only thing I was thinking about was just making the team. I just wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy, so I didn't care what I had to do. I just wanted to make the team, and I did for a minute. But it just, you know, I wouldn't trade my experience. I achieved what I wanted to do. I got a chance to get my feet wet in the NFL, and you know, I was good with that. I knew I couldn't stay bitter the rest of my life. I didn't fault nobody. I didn't blame nobody. I think that's how I maneuvered myself through it. I really did.
So now that, you know, you experienced that racism and you got a chance to go to Dallas, what do you think, what can you tell the quarterbacks now that's playing and they're young and old enough to be their father, or tell those young football players coming out of high school, want to go to college and want to play in the NFL? What would be your biggest thing to tell them?
Are you talking about playing the position of quarterback?
Playing that position of quarterback, playing any any position in football,
Okay.
what would be the thing that you would tell them? Because we know your plight was the quarterback, and you want to play quarterback, but it took a lot for you to get to where you got to, and all the obstacles that was in your way. So no matter really what it's going to go on, it's going to be obstacles. So what would you tell those young men?
It's very easy. I would say stay humble, work hard, stay humble, and stay humble again. Because you know what? When you go to college and you're fortunate enough to play college football, count your blessings. Because there's a whole lot of people out there that have gone to major universities, very talented, are sitting at home doing nothing. To play professional sports, we'll stick with football. To play professional football, count your blessings. It's a privilege. It's not a right. It's a privilege to be able to play that sport. You can have generational wealth, take care of your family. All you got to do is work hard. Don't take that for granted. Don't take that for granted. Now I'll say it again, don't take it for granted, because you know what? You're one tackle away from ending your career. Quarterbacks. You should pay homage to the quarterbacks that came before you. What you see in the NFL now, it's truly a blessing. Count your blessings, because you know what? There were people who came before you playing that position. They had to go through a lot to pave the way for you guys to come. Last year, we had 2 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl. Lately, we've been getting 1 quarterback every year in the Super Bowl. Now, we got just as many black quarterbacks playing in the league as we do whites. It's a situation of, it's all about winning now, and all that other stuff. It's the racism, sure it is. It may not be as blatant or out in your face, but yeah. But you know what? All people want to do now is win. They don't care if you're black, white, or rainbow color. If you can play and you can contribute to winning the game, that's all they care about. So I would say to them, stay humble, and work hard, because nothing's given to you.
Stay committed.
Yes.
And stay committed. And I often say that it doesn't start when you make it to the NFL or when you make it to college, even high school. Your commitment and dedication starts before. You committed in junior high school, you committed especially in high school. And when you get to college, that means you stay committed and you wanted it bad enough to where you said, I'm going to go to college, I'm going to play ball. And when you make it, for those who have made it to the NFL, I don't believe they would say it was easy.
No.
Because CJ's story, it was easy. He has to tell this story about one game he played. He was with Dallas. Yeah, he's going to tell this story. But the commitment is so important. And as I listened to that interview, The Evolution of Black Quarterbacks, we could see it just didn't start in the NFL. It started when they were in college. Once you leave your community, now you're going into the real world. So, we have to look at that. But come on, tell the story about the game you was playing in. This is hilarious.
Well, it wasn't so hilarious to me.
Okay.
So, okay, Astrodome. That's how old it is. Y'all don't know nothing about the Astrodome. Preseason game scrimmage against the Oilers. At that time, they had this guy named Earl Campbell. Now, let me back up a little bit. So now that I'm not playing quarterback, I moved to defensive back. That's okay. I had to learn how to tackle, and all that kind of stuff. I thought I was doing pretty good, so I was still hanging. So I played safety. The game went on. I'm just watching Big Earl just run up in the line. Just all you hear is just pound, pound, pound. And Earl get up, going back to the huddle like it was nothing. So now I'm looking, I said, that's a big dude, man. Earl is a big dude. And before I could get my third big dude out, Bo said, CJ, go in there and get Cliff Harris and break him. Well, I'm my first piece of NFL, I went in there and I'm like, I am. I went in there, had on my high white socks. I was ready. Had on my gloves, I was ready. So I'm looking back, I said, shoot. Big Earl was still in the game. So I said, man, I ain't got to worry about hitting Earl because he got to get behind Randy White and all them, before safety, you have to bury back in. So you the protector of anybody breaking along. I said, before he get back here, he gonna have to go by a lot of people. So I was worried. I looked Earl Campbell right in the face and he was just back there. Looked like he saw me. He looked like he saw me. Man, all I know when the ball was hiked, they handed the ball off to Earl. I saw the parting of the seas. I'm like, Randy, where you at? Too tall. Yeah, where y'all at? Earl came to the untouched. I'm thinking, well, this is gonna be a short career in the NFL. Looked like when he got close, he just saw me and just started smiling like this little DB can't hit me. And all I was thinking was, you probably right, Earl, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to make this tackle. And anybody who knows Earl, you can't hit him up in the chest. His legs look like trees, and he just was strong. And Earl wasn't one of the running backs who was gonna do this. He can ride you. So I bit down my mouthpiece. I was getting ready because I knew this was gonna be a collision. And as I went up to hit Earl, hit him. Next piece of action I saw, I was sitting on the bench with salt over my
Okay.
I got up, head hurting, trying to walk around, shake my head. I looked over there on the other sideline, Earl sitting on his helmet, just chilling. He was out the game for the rest of the game because he's an all-pro. They been gonna leave him in the game. So everybody the next day said, "Man, you knocked the hell out of Big Earl." I said, "Man, Big Earl knocked out of me because the only way I knew how to tackle him, I saw it on the film." I'm like, well, it's time for me to get my education and go do something.
Oh, I love that story. I love that story, but the whole thing is when you talk about football and being beyond the end zone, racism in college. So beyond the end zone, that means there's life after college. The racism that we face each and every day of our lives. It may not be like it was in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, the 50s, or even the 60s, the 70s, or the 80s, or the 90s. There's still racism today, and we see that's going on. My takeaway is that stay true to who you are. And if you want to go and do your career, stay committed to it. Don't let anything deter you. It's very hard for a young man, 16, 17 years old, going to college and have to face that type of racism and stay humble and stay, I don't know the word I can think, stay consistent and say, I'm yet going to continue. CJ did that. He had many opportunities to leave, to go other places. Maybe he would have dealt with the same racism at another university, maybe not. But what he did deal with at New Mexico, I believe it made him a better person, a stronger person. And he talks about the trust issue. When you are treated a certain way and you're young, it can follow you. Those of you that know me know I'm a mental health counselor, and I like to talk about the mental part of that. His mental, like he said, he was down, he did get depressed. And so therefore, stay committed. And because everyone's not going to make the NFL.
That's right.
Everyone's not going to make the NBA. We have a lot of young Black men say, I'm going to play football, I'm going to do this. But first, let's stay committed to school. You have to stay committed to school because if you If you don't make the grade, well, you're not going anywhere.
Right.
You're not going to go anywhere. Work hard, get your scholarship, get your education, and play ball or whatever it is you want to do. There's more, football and basketball and all the teams, baseball, are there. And a lot of those men were committed. In women's sports, a lot of the women are committed, were committed. They didn't take it for granted. They took the opportunity and they made the best of it. We have some of the best basketball players, women here. We have some of the best tennis players here because they stay committed. So it's all about being committed to your craft. Work hard. Work hard, and as CJ says, stay humble. I have enjoyed this interview with CJ Jones.
I enjoyed it.
And it gives you all an insight. If you have children, grandchildren, grandson, it gives you an idea, beyond the end zone. Beyond the end zone, there's life. And when you get to college or whatever job you go to, you may face racism. Yes, this is about football and the NFL, but there is going to be another NFL in your life, and it won't be throwing a ball. So beyond the end zone, racism in college, CJ Jones told you his story and how he got the chance by being humble, even though he might have been angry and disappointed and discouraged. God got him to the Dallas Cowboys. And that takes commitment, dedication, and a love of God to say, I got to make it through no matter what these people are doing to me. I'm going to make it through. And I'm so proud to say that he's sitting here today and he can tell that story. That's not all the story, but he can tell that story about how he made it through the college racism and got to the NFL where, like he said, it wasn't no black quarterbacks. And today we can celebrate all the quarterbacks that are playing in the NFL today. And I want to say you all, like he said, those that paved the way for you, he named some players that awesome quarterback. They paved the way for you. They took some things that they should not have taken, but they stayed the course and they finished the race and they got a chance to do what they love to do. So my name is Rhonda, Mrs. CJ Jones. And before we leave, is there anything else you would like to leave our audience with?
I just want to say, I'm humbled that my wife wanted to interview me with this because as we went, like she said, we started out. You know how you start out when you're dating somebody and you get to know somebody. Being an athlete herself, she asked me about my career. I started telling her stuff. She used to just look at me like, "What?" My favorite term for her is, "I can't make this up. I can't make this up." So real quickly, as we watched that program together, with some of the, I'm talking about quarterbacks that were top notch, and she looked at me and said, "You weren't lying. They're saying the same thing." I said, "This is what we face. This is what we face." I say all that to say she caught such an interest in that, and I think it just grabbed her soul and her heart. She said, "I'm gonna interview you." I said, "For what? You just heard the story." She said, "No, I think people need to hear from a perspective of somebody who's actually a lot of people know. They don't know a lot of them guys. Them guys are famous and stuff." I said, "They need to hear from you." And I thought about it, I said, "Why not?" And I said, I'm not gonna do nothing but tell you the truth of, the truth of what took place. And here we are. So I just want to say thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for getting me out.
And thank you for allowing me to interview you. I know it was different for me because we usually bouncing off of one another, but it was a joy to dive into this. And if anyone have any questions, please email us. You have our email address. It's on the screen. Any comments, please, please, please post your comments, post your questions, and we'll be sure to get back with you.
Absolutely.
So we are going to be saying, this is your girl Rhonda and your boy CJ Jones. We are signing off from Prayer, Marriage, and Family, and we hope you enjoy a little bit of Beyond the End Zone, racism in college football. Have a good night. We thank you. God bless you.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Stay safe.
And Happy New Year.
Right. Happy New Year.
Let your New Year be great. Peace.
Love each and one of you. Thank you.
Come and take a seat from the west to the east. It's gonna be a good vibe. Pacific coast, mountain time, Eastern is alive. Come on in, Central time, and enjoy the ride with Prayer, Marriage, and Family. Come and ride this train with us. We're going on a trip. Prayer, Marriage, and Family, where love lives. But come and take a seat from the west to the east. It's gonna be a good ride. Pacific coast, mountain time, Eastern is alive. Come on in, Central time, and enjoy the ride with Prayer, Marriage, and Family.